Now firmly getting into the business end of the championship. It's only 2 more events left to go for the VRRC World Touring Cars Championship. And after last time out with some of the best races that we had of the season at Interlagos in Brazil, we've crossed back across for our final stop in Europe for this season. And what better place to be than the circuit that they call the Green Hell? Although it's not the actual Nordschleife we're on, it is the shorter, more modern Grand Prix circuit. The championship now moves on to the mighty Nurburgring for round 7 of 8 of the 2025 season. And it should be quite an intense affair, given we had some incredible racing back and forth last time out just last week. So, good evening, everybody that's watching. Scott Woodwiss here to guide you through the action. Once again, thankfully joined by Becky, our pre-show as well. Becky, I think the simple question is, given how good and tense the racing was at Interlagos, how on earth do we top that here this weekend at the Nurburgring? Because that's going to have to go some way to beat the spectacle that we saw with 2 absolute barnstorming races, both of which put on great clinics and some very worthy winners at the same time.
Definitely going to be a challenge for our drivers. But I'm sure, like I say, we're getting to the business end. This is where it starts to matter with your points. So hopefully we'll get some good solid racing between our drivers again tonight, with a few maybe surprises happening, as well as we seem to always get in every round we've had so far.
I hope it'll be more the same coming up for tonight's racing. As you can see, this is the calendar that we've had so far, and what a journey we've been on already in this championship. It's practically flown by. We've had Brands Hatch, which started several weeks ago. Then we went to Monza. Then we went to Long Beach for our only North American event of the season. Portimao was round 4 at Portugal, and then we had Spa-Francorchamps followed by Interlagos to round off the season. Tonight's the Nurburgring, another great circuit which will finish things off for 2025 for the World Touring Cars, at least at Suzuka next week, where if it hasn't been decided tonight, and there's no indication I don't think it will be, then we will be crowning our VRRC World Touring Car Champion. As for what happens tonight, well, there's the championship. Jack Smith, who leads the way after his performances last time out at Interlagos, leads now with a 4-point advantage, but that was taken full advantage of the likes of Scott Bugner and Oliver Gibson, who did manage to pick up quite a few points. In fact, you see that Oliver Gibson outscored Jack in that sense, and he's now only looking at the stats 15 points behind Jack here, with Bugner 178. But there is one crucial piece of information that we have to point out, is that Jack Smith, the championship leader, is not racing tonight. That means he could be under big pressure for the championship if he can't score well at Suzuka, but of course drop scores will come into that as well. Scott Bugner, of course, second in the points, 178, now just 4 points back. To him and Oliver Gibson have 2 of the strongest chances to take over at the top of the points and overall scores before we get to drops. And then Jay Warren in 4th position. Thomas Potter steadily moving back up the table after a steady start. He's now into 5th position. Chris Blakey in 6th, Jamie Page in 7th place, Andy Carroll 8th, Kenny Prest 9th, and Lee Piercy rounding out the top 10. And then from 11th backwards, as we scroll through the rest of the order, Rich Hayden, who's just outside the top 10, knocking on the doors, had a couple of good, strong performances at Interlagos, but couldn't get the results to match. 12th is Jack Dickerson from Catherine Potter and John Jones, and Sam Walton, Connor Potter, Alex Walker, who's joining us here tonight, and also as well we have John Wilkie and Nathan Smith propping up the bottom of the table. So, interesting enough, looking back to our stats from the last time, and it was Jamie Page who was the best of the round with an excellent pair of performances, a win and a 4th place. Then Oliver Gibson was 2nd from the round, and Thomas Potter was 3rd. And driver of the event did go to Jamie Page, and I think that was certainly warranted, Becky, given by the fact that Jamie did, in fact, put in some of his best performances of the season, managing to hold off Thomas Potter, particularly in the closing stages, to take a victory, and then having to claw his way through to get onto the back of the top 3 after there was some quite manic shenanigans at some points through that second race. So well-deserved for Jamie, and he's now been getting a lot stronger as the season's gone on. So he'll be hoping that by the time he finishes this weekend tonight here at the Nurburgring, he's made another step forward and possibly become one of the front runners again.
Yeah, Jamie Page did really well last week. Just great attacking and defending, so he could do it all. So hopefully a bit more of that, and he can be given a bit of challenge to our top runners at the moment, because he's not too far off at the moment. So yeah, be interested to see how he gets on, and hopefully it'll persuade him to get a microphone so he can actually come speak to us at the end of it as well.
Yeah, if he keeps this up, he might be able to get himself some points to do that as well, which is going to be pretty key. But hopefully you can get a microphone and we can hear from it at least if he hasn't done already. Now, looking forward to one of our next events. We've actually had a bit of a change of order for our next event. It was going to be GT3s, but there's been a bit of a switch of cars, make it a little more competitive, a little more different in many cases. So we're now going to go with the BMW M4 GT Sprint that's coming up. We've just got about quite a few sign-ups, almost a full grid already, which is looking pretty excellent, going pretty well. And you can see the calendar is a mix of European and Middle East circuits switched in with 4 North American venues. Starting at Spa on the 16th of September, followed by Watkins Glen. Bahrain on the full international endurance layout, followed by then Sebring, the home of the 12 hours. Imola, which is one of my personal favourite circuits, a great circuit with plenty of fast straights and chicanes. Then it's Road Atlanta, home of Petit Le Mans. Silverstone, home of the British Grand Prix. And then the final round being at Road America. Some classic American circuits there mixed in with some of the best that the Middle East and Europe has to offer. So be sure to get involved in that. If you want more information, head to the social pages and the website for VRRC. There are just a handful of spots left if you want to get yourself involved, so do be sure to get yourself into the mix. So, with that done, we move on to our venue for tonight, which is, of course, the Nurburgring. It's nestled, of course, in the Eifel Mountains. Originally, when the original Nordschleife was built back in 1927, of course, this circuit was built more nearer the time in around about the late 1980s. The late 1970s, early 1980s when they first launched it. In fact, the new circuit was constructed back
We seem to have unfortunately lost there, so I won't talk through the track that we'll get up soon with our hot lap with Jack. I'll just let everybody sit back and enjoy that, but be interesting to see how our drivers get on at the Nurburgring, and hopefully Scott will be back to join me soon in the comms box at the end of the hot lap.
I'm here, so I think we can go through it. So,
Lovely.
let's now go through a hot lap then of Jack's. I believe Jack Smith is going to take us on a lap of the Nurburgring and take a lap of how the Nurburgring looks. And indeed, even though he's not here, he's here in spirit, so you can show us what to do and what our drivers are going to be aiming for to lap the Nurburgring, which is a tight and technical circuit, lots of flowing, twisting corners. Certainly one that's going to be a key circuit to try and negotiate for tonight. So down the pit straight, hugging the left-hand side. This is going to be the pinch point, particularly at the start of the race and the start of a qualifying lap. Turn 1, it really does go right down to a point. You hit the brakes, punch all the way down through the gearbox, down to second gear, tuck right, and just really hook round on the tip of the apex. That's the tightest corner on the circuit. You bring it back to the right-hand side into the Mercedes arena section, hug the left-hand side, let it drift out wide to the approach to turn 3, then under brakes. And you want to aim for a really, really tight run all the way through here. Let it hold to the left-hand side that sets you up for the right-hander to flick you back out of the arena section and onto what's been the long-standing Grand Prix loop. Now the short straight as you make your way up towards the fast left-hander, which is of the Valvoline curve, and then forward curve, which kind of dips down a little bit as you start to go a little downhill. And then you start to further plunge downhill as you start to drop towards the Dunlop curve, which is this long looping left-hander towards an even tighter looping right-hander, this 180-degree hairpin. You brake in a straight line, aim for a slightly early apex, V off the corner if you need to, and just get back on the power nice and steady. Use all the curb on the exit that you need. Now towards the Michael Schumacher S, named after the 7-time world champion himself in recent years. This is a quite high-speed section, holding quite a lot of speed there. If you can go through there practically flat out, you're on a good setup and at least on a good run. Now we're coming towards the end of the lap, up towards Michelin curve, as you use the curve on the outside line, and again just throws the car in, really aggressively throws the steering wheel in to get the car rotated, and turning through the right-hander at Warsteiner curve, and now the run back towards the pits and the start and finish line. You go down the hill initially, then climb back up again as you go up through Ad Van Bogen into the NGK chicane, which will be a very tight complex. There are 2 chicanes you can take here. A faster one they use for the endurance section. This one here is the tighter and much sharper machine. That they are using the endurance one this weekend. So I thought they were going to use the tighter one, but it is the endurance chicane they're using. And then into the final corner, which is Coca-Cola curve. This one opens out on the exit. Little twitch of oversteer as Jack tries to get on the power. Back onto the start and finish line and across to complete a lap of the Nurburgring circuit. The target time that we're going to try and beat, or an estimated time, is going to be around about 2 minutes 0.58 seconds. If you can get yourself under 2 minutes or get near that, that'll certainly be a grand time that could find yourself on pole position for qualifying. So, speaking of qualifying, we're going to jump straight in to see who is doing what in the early part of these early stages of this qualifying session. And of course, it's pretty crucial to see if anyone can get that pole position, particularly if you're going to try and lead the pack down towards that really tight bottleneck of the first hairpin when it all closes up. And there's the man who's currently on pole position with 10.5 minutes to go. It's Thomas Potter in the championship and looking to try and capitalise on what was a pretty strong weekend at Interlagos. And given the fact he was up in contention for victory, Becky, for most of the weekend, particularly in that first race battling with Jamie Page, Thomas has been getting steadily stronger. He's had a couple of points. His pace has been good, but he's either made mistakes or just had some bad luck. So it all seems to be now he's starting to click a little bit more in terms of pace. He's just at the fastest first sector of the session again so far, to try and extend his advantage. But Thomas certainly finding a bit more consistency and a bit more luck in the second half of the year compared to a pretty tumultuous first half he had to try and endure in those first 4 events.
Yeah, slowly ironing out all those kinks and getting the full potential out of the car and the driver himself as well. So battling at the front. I bet he was frustrated because it was a good battle against him and Jamie last race, the first race last week, and just couldn't quite make the move. But he did say he was trying to be sensible, not go for any silly moves and end anything too drastically early. So he's maturing in that sense as well, and in terms of knowing when to pick his fights and when to hang back a little bit and maximise on his points and get the best out of his championship.
He's trying to get the most out of this lap as well. He's set a personal best in sector 2. It's not the absolute fastest second sector, but he's making his way towards the NGK chicane. As they come up towards chicane here, and again, it's not using the tighter layout, so the faster layout that we'd normally use for the endurance races like NLS or the Nurburgring 24 hours is certainly one that is going to be intriguing to watch for. Out of the final couple of corners, onto the pit straight comes Thomas, and does indeed improve his time by about 1/10 of a second. 2 minutes 0.584. Jamie Page is on a quick lap here as well. He's setting personal best in sectors 1 and 2, and he comes across the line and will go second. So he's put himself on the front row of the grid provisionally with that lap. 2 minutes 0.707. Rich Hayden starts a new fastest lap. He's up in 4th, so an impressive run so far for Rich. And Rich had some good performances, particularly he led for quite a way in race 2 until the rest of the pack caught him up, and then just got into, I think, tangled up with one of the Audis, and that saw him eventually out of the race. And I think he said he stalled the engine on top of that as well. So because of it, unfortunately, he had to retire from that race, or at least be right further down the order. This is Jay Warren, personal best for him, currently 3rd fastest at the moment. As Thomas Potter goes quicker again in sector 1, so we'll keep an eye on that lap. We'll watch Jay Warren across the line. Goes on a 2 minutes 4.245, so we lost time in the final sector. Jamie Page has now gone better in sector 1, so there's a real pole position battle going on here between the top 2 from race 1 in Interlagos, who are now the top 2 in the qualifying session. And Page now makes his way down towards the hairpin. Under brakes, just picks his brake just before the curb appears, which lets the car rotate itself, just swing all the way through the bottom end of the circuit, over the curb, and then back towards the Michael Schumacher S. Even tidy so far from Jamie in this lap's. No dramas through the Michael Schumacher S. He's certainly finding his feet now in this BMW and in this championship. In that first win, right aboard with Jamie. Smooth movements of the wheel, just let the car glide from one side to the other. This one's pretty hooked up. It has gone yellow in sector 2, so he hasn't quite found the time he needed in that second sector. See what he can find in sector 3 to keep himself at least a little bit clearer as they head up the hill towards the NGK chicane. As we then go down towards S bend, we're going left and right, and then using the curb on the exit to help hook the car into the Coca-Cola curve. The brakes there were glowing cherry red as he turns out of the final turn and back to the pit straight. Jay Warren set the fastest second sector, so he's on a fly too. We'll look at him for a second. Jamie Page goes across the line and does in fact go fastest. Remains fastest. He's gone in fact he's fast, 2 minutes 0.403. So that is now quickest time for him. Strong second sector, but Jay Warren might be able to beat that. Remember, the reference lap time that we saw actually was from Jack Smith. It was 2 minutes 0.58. So they've gone slightly quicker than Jack's reference time. Warren nice and clean through the NGK chicane into Coca-Cola curve. See the flames on these BMWs spitting large out of the side exhaust. Back on the power again. Let's see if Jay Warren can put himself onto the fastest time of the grid in the qualifying session. The answer is no, he can't. He's missed out. It was a 2 minutes 0.532, so he loses out by about 1/10 of a second. Jay Page is motoring along. We've got Scott Bugner, who's now into the second sector. Not quite where he wants to be. Page has gone fast in sector 1, so it's getting quicker in this session as we start to move forwards. 5 minutes 45 to go on the clock. There is Alex Walker, who is very They're in Jack Oliphant's livery, apparently, according to our producer Jack in here. His brother's livery in there, so a bit of family significance there for him. So I imagine he might be his favourite tonight. So 11th place for Alex Walker. On personal best, so he's not quite the fastest out there. Jamie Page has lost time in sector 2 as well. Here is Jamie. So it seems as though that some drivers have different strengths in terms of where they're quicker. It looks like Thomas and Jamie are quite good in sector 1, but there's differences in sector 2 in terms of how much pace they really have. Over 5 minutes to go in the session, turning his way out of hairpin, now on the approach towards Michael Schumacher, I guess. Carroll now just keeping it nice and tight through that fast S-bend. The second sector, and is it purple or is it yellow? It's yellow. So off, but he's gone quicker in the first sector in this lap than he has done so far. That's a crucial development. So the right-hander and back down the hill towards the end of a lap once again. And any more, I can't see anyone else that's really too much improving. With the order so far, we've got Jamie Page fastest, Jay Warren second, Thomas Potter is now third, Kenny Press is fourth. That's interesting stuff from Kenny to get himself up onto the second row provisionally ahead of Scott Woodwiss. Then Rich Hayden sixth, Chris Blakey seventh, Paul Laramie's back in the field as well this weekend, so good to see him on the grid. Currently in eighth, Alex Walker is ninth, and Andy Carroll rounding out the top 10. Or John Jones, Catherine Potter, and Connor Potter, so two of the Potters towards the back of the field. As Catherine starts another flying lap, hits the brakes, and makes her way down towards turn 1. As though we're in a little bit of a lull in the session here, so there's not many people who are setting faster lap times, whether it's the nature of the circuit, or everyone's just trying to redial themselves in for one last effort. Watching Catherine, she's had a little bit of oversteer on that one as well. So I guess whilst we are going through the session as well, we might as well bring in our third kind of voice that we have in the booth as well, who's producing the stream for us tonight, Jack Oliphant as well. And Jack, interesting enough that we're seeing that Jamie Page and Jay Warren at the front now, because Jay's now gone second quickest ahead of Thomas, but interesting enough that this will be quite a fascinating dynamic to see how this plays out, particularly we don't have Jack Smith, we don't have Oliver Gibson, so this is really going to be a key chance for those around them in the points. Re-steal something. Yes, there are drop scores taking to place. They will use this round as one of their drop scores, I'm almost certain. But even so, this is going to mean that so many drivers are going to get their chance to get an opportunity, and it won't be so far-fetched. I think they're going to get someone who could even take their first victory tonight if they haven't done already.
Yeah, I think the likes of Jay Warren and Thomas Potter, you're right, it's a case of them trying to stake their claim. We don't know why Oliver Gibson's not with us. He did say he was going to be here, but clearly he's not, so there is an opportunity to catch him up. Scott Bugner doesn't seem to be quite as hot on it as previously. Maybe that ballast, he's got 34 kilos on board, that might not be helping him. Maybe it's just more of a favourable rear-wheel drive. I wouldn't really suspect so much Nurburgring to be a favourable rear-wheel drive circuit, because there's a lot of medium-speed corners, but it's a case of them trying to claw back some points before the drop rounds get introduced, so they can go into the final round, or into the final couple of rounds, but I think the Suzuka is the final round, with an opportunity to overtake Jack Smith, and it's really exciting to see. Unfortunately, qualifying doesn't seem to be as exciting at the moment. Scott Bugner, though, is starting to improve. That Sector 1 has got a little bit quicker, which is nice to see, because we see a lot of BMWs. The Audi's finally starting to show a little bit of presence here at the Nurburgring. Scott is always fanciful, and he gets a very, very harsh V on that corner, doesn't he, in an attempt to get up that hill and pull that ballast all the way up with an early exit.
Yeah, there's two kind of ways you can take that corner, which is the traditional kind of going wide, hug the apex right to the middle, and then arc out on the other side. But you have got that V approach where you kind of go in quite deep, square off the corner, and then get a better, arguably more speed on corner exits, trying to get you through. And depending on the characteristic of the car, and also maybe whether it's front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, you do tend to see different dynamics in that sense all the way through. So this is going to be quite interesting to see how that's going to work in that sense as we go through. So this is going to be fascinating to see how Scott Bugner gets on. Currently 5th fastest at the moment. He has got personal best in sectors 1 and 2, so he could potentially move himself up a little further. He's only got to find literally about 200th of a second to be able to get himself up onto the second row of the grid. Bugner then makes his way out to the final corner. Is he going to be able to beat 2 minutes 1.087? Yes, he does. More than that, he's gone to second quickest with a 2 minutes .508. He's quicker than even Jay Warren. So he puts the Audi on the front row of the grid. With, almost certainly he's going to be his second to last, if not last effort. Rich Hayden on a personal best in sector 1, but has lost time in the second sector. So he's got some effort to try and put in here to claw something back in the third. Go through the right-hander. Yeah, in fact, he's about 2.5 seconds down, so that won't be an improvement at all. He's lost a lot of time in that sense. Out of the corner he goes. Down the hill with the left-hander, and then back into the a couple of times on that side of things. We're just towards the end of the session. Then we're going to bring Becky back as well. She had to step away for just 2 minutes, but interesting enough, a couple of late changes in the order, with Scott Woodwiss moving up to second place, Jay Warren coursing third, and then fourth place for Thomas Potter and Kenny Press. So an impressive effort for Scott to get himself up onto the front row of the grid there. So it's now going to be BMW versus Audi as Jay Warren goes grass tracking. I know it's called the Green Hill, but doesn't want to take that quite literally and just spins facing completely the wrong way. But impressive stuff from the Audis to get themselves up there second and fifth. That's going to be quite intriguing to see how they work out that one.
Step away for 2 minutes and come back, and everything's changed. Good to see Scott up
chaos,
there.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's always great when that happens, and you have no idea what's going on. But I'm sure I'll catch up eventually. But I know Scott actually has been out testing in Stettinson, so I wonder if that's put him in the mood for this evening. So yeah, we're raring to go and get some good points on the board. I hope that's not me just jinxing him there.
We'll have to wait and see on that session, won't we? But Jay Warren still stays third, and it's going to be pretty interesting. A slightly, I was about to say jumbled up grid, but there's not really too many drivers that are that really out of position, I'd say. If there's anything, I suppose I'd probably say Chris Blake, he's probably a little bit lower than I expected, back down in seventh, but he seems to be trying to pick his way through and get a couple of spots. Rich Hayden's put in a good effort to start on the third row of the grid. That's going to be quite fascinating. Kenny Press is up there in fifth. You've got Thomas Potter fourth, and then look towards the front. Jay Warren up in third place, hoping he's going to try and do something quite interesting. So that will be, I think, an interesting dynamic. If he can make that happen, then he'll certainly want to try and get a couple of aces. But Thomas Potter can't bet a fourth, so he's going to have to back onto the second row. And hopefully he'll be looking to try and convert that into at least a podium if he can, of course, and we'll talk to our top three very, very shortly. So qualifying is now completed. Jamie Page fastest then, and he'll take pole position, hoping to take his second win of the season if he can. From Scott Bugner with a late effort to put him on the front row of the grid. And it's Jay Warren and Thomas Potter with Rich Hayden rounding off the top five. We'll have a chat to our top three before race one in a few moments' time. We'll step away for 2 seconds for our advert break from one of our partners. When we come back, we'll get the thoughts of our top three before race one here at the Nurburgring. Back in 2. So there's our quick word from our partners, and we're now going to move into our top 3 interviews. Well, I say top 2 interviews because once again, Jamie Page does not have a working mic, unfortunately, but we do have at least the drivers that picked up second and third in the session. So we'll go through them ahead of race one coming up in a few moments' time. So let's first of all cross over to our first interview, which is Jay Warren in third place. Jay, an excellent effort to put you third on the grid. Certainly was going to put you in good stead for race number one. Talk us through your qualifying and how that last effort came through to put you third on the grid.
Yeah, it was a very close qualifying with Jamie and Scott, and really, I think we all did pretty good laps in the end, so I'm not too disappointed with third at all.
And now, of course, you've got a second row start. Of course, we know how tricky this circuit is going to be, particularly with that very tight, very compact first corner, which is going to be really a pinch point for a lot of people down there. we talk about starts and approaches. I mean, do you think that's going to be a place where potentially the race could be won or lost for one or two people, or do you hope that people are going to see that you don't win the race, particularly here at the first corner, that it is going to be a bit more of a 20-minute marathon rather than a 5-second sprint?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think it's important to get through the first corner safely, and that's my first aim for the first corner of the race. But then after that, I think just wait and see how the race settles down, and then I'll go from there.
Good stuff. And obviously, you want to aim. Everyone else wants to aim for the win, but you're going to be at least satisfied with getting yourself at least staying where you are in third place and get a good podium.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go for the win if it's on, but otherwise, I'm in a good starting position, and it'd be good to get another podium. That's for sure.
Well, congratulations on third place. Fingers crossed you can make it happen and at least get yourself a top three, if not get close to the victory. So best of luck, and we will talk to you hopefully if you do get in the top three later on this evening. Best of luck.
Cheers, thank you.
There goes Jay Warren, and the interview that we have, of course, is the driver we have, because as I said, with no Jamie Page, with no microphone, we can't at least talk to our man who got essentially with one of his last efforts of the session, a front row start, and that was Scott Bugner. Scott, good to see you back towards the sharp end once again, as we've seen you a couple of times in the Audi. That last effort that put you onto the front row of the grid, were you confident the car could do that, or was that a bit of a surprise?
If I'm being honest, I probably could have gone a bit quicker, but I was halfway. I literally just got back before qualifying from Snetterton, so I was testing today. So I was trying to eat a kebab at the same time as qualifying. So as I finished my kebab, I did my fastest lap. So yeah, I'm happy with that. That was good. I think I could probably get in the. Could have gone a couple of tenths quicker, but points are in the race.
We're blaming the kebab on this now, are we?
Yeah, overweight. Yeah, that's it now. Got too much weight on for this.
Well, thankfully there's no. Thankfully the balance is not substantial. I think is on that side of things. But looking for the start of race one, then of course, as we mentioned to Jay, you're on the front row of the grid. This is going to be a sprint down towards an incredibly tight first corner. It's the tightest corner probably that we've had in the whole championship. And this, of course, is going to be a pinch point with the entire field making it down there. So how critical is it going to be to get through this first corner literally unscathed? Because I think ultimately that's going to be the key defining point. If someone misses a braking point or goes for a move and it doesn't quite go off, that's going to be quite fascinating to see how that one plays out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But obviously we know that the BMs are slightly stronger off the line, but I think the Audi is slightly stronger in the first 2 or 3 laps. So I think it's going to be elbows out for the first 2 laps, try and get to the front, and then see what we can do from there. But I just need points because obviously Jack Smith's missing today, and so is Oliver. So for me, it's just probably about getting as many points as I can. I've dropped my 2 lowest rounds now, so obviously it'd be interesting to see what the points are after this meeting or after this race, due to obviously Jack dropping this as a 0. So I think it'll be quite interesting.
Certainly will. If you can get a better start, of course, on the front row of the grid, given that obviously you're up against a rear-wheel drive BMW, that might be quite fascinating. So I guess one final thing as well to quickly talk about, we've got a couple of minutes left, is that we talk about dynamics with these cars, particularly in which circuit's going to favour which, and whether the BMW or the Audi is going to be the stronger of the two. Obviously, we've got a pair now on the front row of the grid, or a one each of a BMW and Audi. So you're anticipating it's quite an even circuit for these cars, given that we've got 2 Audis and 3 BMWs in the top 5. It feels pretty even in terms of advantage front versus rear wheel drive.
Yeah, I think it is quite even. I think the BMW, as we've seen all season's really good on the brakes. So going into turn 1, they can brake a lot later than what we can. But I think definitely sort of traction coming out the corners, the Audi's got really good torque on it. So if you get good traction coming out the corners, you can really pull alongside them. So yeah, it's quite even. I think we're going to be stronger in the first probably 5-6 laps, and I think after that the tyres are going to start to drop and the BMs are going to come into their own. So it's going to be hopefully I didn't see where Andy qualified, but hopefully Kenny can push his way through and hold up some of the BMs for me.
Well, let's see if we can make it happen. So let's wish you the best of luck from the front row of the grid, and fingers crossed it can turn it into a victory, at least a good podium. So hopefully we'll be speaking to you in about roughly 25 minutes time. So best of luck and see how it works out.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff. And of course, for the record, I'm sure we'll bring it up on screen. Jamie Page, as we said, no microphone, but we can at least give him the plaudits. Congratulations on getting pole position. See if we can convert it to a victory. So, qualifying complete. We now go into race 1 of 2 tonight, of course. And this is always an interesting thing to see. We've still got roughly a few minutes to go before we get the race underway, so we've got a couple of talking points to go through here. So let's just look at the situation we've got then, Becky. We've got a BMW and an Audi on the front row of the grid here. Jamie Page, who has won a race before, Scott Woodwiss, who I'm sure, unless Jack's about to shout at me and correct if he has or not, is at least taken a few podiums. I can't remember if he has taken a victory or not. I should know that, but ultimately Scott Woodwiss on the front row has been in contention for victories as well, at the very least. I think he has taken at least one, which I think is fascinating. BMW versus Audi, front versus rear-wheel drive. There's going to be two key points here. One, how they get away from the start, and typically rear-wheel drive favours front-wheel drive in terms of how you get off the line. Then you got the sprint down towards turn one. You got 14 of these BMWs heading down towards the first corner, and Audis. How critical is it going to be to at least get a clean run through those first couple of corners? We talked about it with the drivers, but this is going to be this part of the cut circuit where it could genuinely, for some drivers, potentially decide if their race is a good one or goes right into the pits of despair. This really could be a critical first corner. Possibly in these two races, the most critical first corner of the season, given we're that deep into the season and drivers who are battling for point standings to try to get themselves up as high as possible, is going to be all that crucial to do.
Yeah, it's such a pinch point in that first corner. So like you say, it can be make or break in that. I believe Scott's won a couple of first races in, I think Monza was one of them. And looking back to one of the rounds previous as well, Portimao, I believe. So yeah, he's in for contention, and I'm sure, yeah, as long as he gets a good start and gets his nose ahead, he'll be probably diving in the inside to try to make a move on Jamie Page straight away. So interesting to see. We've got a bit of a mix. We've got a few Audis up there, so some proper battling to go on, I'm sure. So yeah, really looking forward to this one as always. Yeah, be good to see how they take. Again, the first lap's always critical, isn't it? It's always yeah, do you make the move straight away? Do you sit back? Do you wait a little bit? And so yeah, it can be, yeah, end it all in the first corner, especially like we say, it's such a tight corner to get round, and with everybody aiming for the same bit of tarmac, there's bound to be a few probably bumps here and there.
We've got a couple of minutes to go whilst we do that as well. So whilst we're waiting for the start, another chance to plug the new version of our next upcoming championship, which is the BMW M4 GT4 Sprint. I'm sure Jack will tell me he's in ready to go, so I'll try and plug this for the gap we've got. So, of course, same 8 circuits that we have, but we've changed to the BMW M4 GT4 race car. And that car means that we have a quite even mix of machines, or even spread across the field. So it'll be down to just driver talent to get the most out of it in this championship. As you can see, that the calendar is full of European and Middle Eastern circuits. We've got Spa as the starting point, mixed in with some great North American venues, such as Watkins Glen for the second round. Bahrain, what looks to be on the full endurance layout, which they used back in 2010 for Formula 1. That is round 3. Then October was where we see Sebring, then Imola, one of my favourite circuits. Road Atlanta, home of the Petit Le Mans. Silverstone towards the end of October, and right at the beginning of November will be the season finale at Road America, where if it hasn't been decided by then, we will have a BMW M4 GT4 Sprint champion. We've already got about 20 odd entries. There's only a handful of spots left. If you want to get yourself involved, head to the socials, head to the website VRRC for all the details, and get in touch with Rich Hayden if you want to take part. And of course, as you can see, all 8 rounds will be live streamed, so you'll be able to catch all the action from start to finish, every single beat of it. So we've got about a minute or so to go before we get to race 1 underway, and this will be quite fascinating to see how this plays out, particularly when we've got 2 key contenders in the championship who are not here tonight, both Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson not present, which means that this is going to be a key chance for other drivers to step into the spotlight, other drivers to get themselves at the front of the field, other drivers to possibly get a podium, other drivers to even get a win, be their first of the night as well on top of that. So we're going to wait to go back to our track scene with about roughly 20 seconds or so to go. Just a reminder then, Jamie Page is then on the front row of the grid with Scott Woodwiss alongside him, Jay Warren at 3rd with Thomas Potter in 4th, and Rich Hayden rounding off the top 5 as the last few seconds count down. This is going to be quite a pinch, quite a fascinating first couple of corners, particularly that run down towards turn 1 if anyone's bold enough to try and make a move, make a pass, or try and make or possibly end their race in a blink of an eye. Last few seconds up as we go for race 1 of round 7 of VRRC touring cars at the Nurburgring. The red lights come on. Jamie Page and Scott Woodwiss will head the sprint down towards that crucial first hairpin. Lights are out and we are underway in Germany. It's a key start once again from Jamie Page, the rear-wheel drive with the BMW, suiting him off the line initially. Jay Warren also trying to follow suit in 2nd place down the outside. Woodwiss will hold the inside line. And hold your breath, everybody. Can they get through turn 1 safely? goes straight to the inside to hold the apex. Warren goes round the outside of the Audi for second place, and they run level. And fingers crossed, they all, he says tentatively, appears to have got through safely. Still side by side for second place as Warren looks to make it a BMW 1-2. Potter on his toes as well, up to fourth place past Rich Hayden. He wants to try and get past Bugner as well. Warren makes the place. Then Bugner comes back in when the exit of the Mercedes arena, and Potter comes right onto his tail. All the while, Jamie Page trying to pull away. Potter puts 2 wheels on the grass, trying to get himself up to third place on the inside line for the next corner, which is the Valvoline curve. Bugner stands his ground and doesn't want to give it up. He has the inside line for Ford curve. They turn in through the right-hander, down the hill once again, and Bugner holds on, but it now gives Jay Warren the chance to start chasing after him. On his toes also are both Rich Hayden and Chris Blakey down towards the bottom end of the circuit. But already at this, Becky, it's an all-action start. I think the pleasant surprise was it was incredibly clean through the first couple of corners. No dramas, no major issues. And now we've got a breakaway top 6 on this opening half lap.
I think we said this last week though, and by the start of the next lap it all kind of descended into chaos, so don't speak too soon. There could be things kicking off in the next couple of corners, but yeah, the Beamers just seem to have the pace, didn't they, right at the start. So yeah, Scott's trying to do his best to keep everybody behind him now, not lose any more positions, because yeah, those Beamers just took off right at the start. I wonder if he was kind of expecting that and thought, yeah, let's just take it nice and easy, but yeah, don't let too many through, don't lose too many positions. But yeah, he's got a slight queue now starting to form behind them, but good thing for him, Jay doesn't seem to be charging up the road too much along with Jamie, so that's a benefit, that's a positive. He'll be sure to once he's warmed up a bit, get onto the tail of them and battle for the lead as well.
That's the first end of the out of the final corner for the first lap. Get your words out. Jamie Page leads them by half a second from Warren in P2. Then it's Bugner in third, Potter fourth, Hayden fifth, and Chris Blakey up a spot into sixth place. Then it's Carroll, Laramie, Jones, and Walker. So trying to set up Bugner for the up and under for the undercut for third position. Through the Mercedes arena they come. And down the hill towards the next part of the section. Potter at least trying to keep up with his top 4, but it looks pretty evenly matched here at the moment. And quite a tightly compacted lead group. I'm not saying that not having Oliver Gibson and Jack Smith tighten things up, not at all, because they certainly add 2 very competitive elements, but pretty intriguing that we haven't got one breakaway leader here. The top 4 are just sticking with each other. Bugner looking to try and keep himself in the mix. He is the kind of errant Audi in this swarm of BMWs around him. He turns out to the Ford curve and down the hill once again to the bottom end hairpin at right at the lowest point of the circuit, down at the Dunlop curve. Just holding station one a little wayward as Bugner tries to get a little closer, and with the front wheel drive just putting him out a little wide on understeer. Just climbing back up the hill once again. Left-hander. And further back, there's more shenanigans here. This is Andy Carroll trying to get past Chris Blakey to reclaim his 6th position. He tried to go side by side with Michael Schumacher S. Becky, but I'm pretty certain he realised that wasn't quite the smartest thing to do. He's now up the inside, the left-hander for Michelin curve, gets the pass done, or does he? Because he's now possibly going to get a pass back around the outside at Warsteiner curve, which he almost does. Oh, there was a bit of hip and shoulder there. That was Chris Blakey. He lost it. He went into the side of Andy Carroll. Round he goes, straight into the path of that was Paul Laramie. Round he goes. And in just the blink of an eye, it all goes to calamity, and that is the worst possible result for Chris Blakey. He tried it round the outside line, Becky. He tried to make that move stick, but I think Andy Carroll was always going to take the outside line and hold his racing line. There's only so much room you can give before the car won't give you any more. And sadly, unfortunately, Chris Blakey had to face the consequences by being stuck on the outside line like that.
Yeah, unfortunate that. We'll see. Obviously, I'm sure it looks like he might have pitted and called his loss there. So hopefully he'll be back with us the next race to make amends. As we've got another little tangle going on, as that's Jay Warren dropped back. Don't know if there was any contact. I believe there might have been some contact between him and Scott. So Scott going for a pass and angled a little bit. Is that Andy Carroll maybe having a few more difficulties further back?
Andy Carroll's getting himself into the mix here because that little tangle that happened between Scott Bugner and Thomas Potter, and then Rich Hayden's got around as well, so he's also got involved in that, and so has Jay Warren. So it's all kicked off on this lap with about the last minute or so. Potter's getting back onto the road, so as Laramie. Rich Hayden rejoins. It was quite a sequence of events there. First of all, with what happened between Andy Carroll and Chris Blakey, and then further along we saw what happened exiting the first couple of corners between Scott Bugner and Thomas Potter, who's now back up to 4th place. but it's Jamie Page with a clear, practically 6-second lead out in front. No, 4-second lead, I should correct myself. 4 seconds to the good now for Jamie Page. Second now for Bugner and Carroll for third, but Carroll's made it quite a few places because everyone else around him, Becky's just been falling by the wayside.
Yeah, and Carroll seems to have been setting quite a lot of purple sectors, just kind of sneakily in the background, working his way up. And yeah, I'm sure without that tangle as well with Chris Blakey, as though it didn't seem to stop him too much, but it never helpful. It stopped him momentum a little bit. So it could kind of a bit of a what if he could have got a little bit closer to Scott, but he'll just keep closing that gap down. And Jamie's probably thinking, great, that's the best result I could have had. A bit of a tangle behind me, and I'll just keep facing forward and keep going.
What you can do in the scenario, keep going and hope the cars in front have issues themselves and start to fall backwards and come back towards you. But Kenny Pressley's dropped a bit further back. He was quite high on the grid. He was about 5th position at one point, but he's now back to 8th. He's got Catherine Potter behind, who looks as though she's also having one of her most competitive runs of the seasons. Up there in 9th place, keeping Kenny pretty honest as they come out of Coca-Cola curve and onto the pit straight with 30.5 minutes left to go. There's the recovering Rich Hayden, who's in 5th position, and they'll try and keep chasing down Thomas Potter if he can to take 4th. So Jamie Page then is now, well, the gap's now come down slightly from 4 seconds to 3.8, so it looks as though Bugner's found a little bit of time in that sense. Try and make it happen. And back through the arena section they come. This is Jack Dickinson, the third of those kind of car bug racing Audis. He's now on the back of Jay Warren, who's going to be on the comeback trail himself, having started in 3rd on the grid. Makes his way through the arena section, back on the power once again. Now they make the charge down towards the left-hander at Valvoline curve. Warren, of course, will know he's got pace underneath him, which means he should be able to, in his mind, start to close in, reel in, and push the cars in front. Got plenty of time to do it. And way with there for Jack Dickinson in the background. I think he just lost it on the curb and just went a little too backwards. In Alex Walker, in undoubtedly Jack's favourite car of the evening. Alex Walker putting on the pressure on John Jones, who actually say John Jones has slightly come up to 6th position as well, so he's also benefited from the chaos, shall we say, that's gone on through the mid-pack, the first opening laps, and he's picked his way nice and steadily into 6th position. That's one of his highest runs so far, at least in terms of track position. Alex Walker on his tail, Kenny Press and the Audi's not too far behind as well. It seems as though that we kind of had a little bit of a break-up in the field with what happened in those crazy couple of laps, Becky, and everyone's just starting to settle down here. But we talked about the fact that some drivers will get an opportunity to really pull themselves into contention as Alex Walker makes the move through that flat-out right-hander on John Jones and moves himself up into 6th position. But a few drivers here are actually taking full advantage of the fact that others are really struggling or getting hampered with issues or incidents and starting to get their moment in the spotlight, trying to get themselves a good few points as Alex Walker comes into the pit lane, presumably to serve a penalty, I'd imagine, but apart from that, I'm not quite sure where he's pitting. But as I was saying, it's good to see there's some other drivers in the mix who might not have been as high up as they usually are, but getting the opportunity to do so just by circumstance, and also some of them on pure pace alone.
Yeah, it's time to pounce now when you have lost some of the other competitors in the competition. You think, right, you can maximise some points here. They're not scoring any, so let's try to get the best result you can, and then it's going to be an all-out battle in the final round, which I'm sure will again make for some great racing and probably some dramatic moments for us next week.
Warren, meanwhile, has managed to pick his way back past Catherine Potter, so that's now up in to 8th place on his comeback trail. And his next target, actually, is the two cars we've just been looking at, which is John Jones and Kenny Press. And interestingly enough, Kenny Press has probably seen that Jay Warren's on his way. He's now trying to sail off up the road by at least a couple of seconds, to try and almost escape, in some cases, the inevitable, because we know what pace Jay has, having started 3rd on the grid. As we head down out of the Ford curve, down towards Dunlop curve. Brakes again. We'll just see how Jay takes the corner. Does he V it off? Yes, he does. Yeah, he sort of V's it off in the corner to get that straight at apex. And just here in my ear, he's been 3 seconds quicker on this lap so far already. So that just shows really the enormous pace difference to some of the more talented drivers in the field. Of course, John has talent himself, but in terms of comparable talent, Jay has a little more in terms of pace underneath him. I'm sure we both will admit that. And towards this first part of the final sector, and I'm sure it's, all due respect to John, only a matter of when rather than if he makes the move, because Warren's pace underneath him certainly does befit someone who's a regular front runner. Could exit now into this back section towards the chicane in the Coca-Cola corner. just get a sense that Warren's going to try and go around the outside, and Jones tries to defend. He goes to the inside line, gives as good as he gets. But now just moves back to the racing line and actually doesn't let Jay through. And nor should he. He's battling for position, but John trying to get his elbows out here and make it a little more difficult, Becky, for Jay to make it through here, who's on a comeback trail, finding a bit more of an obstacle in the way of John Jones, who's, to be fair, giving as good as he gets and within his right, defending his place all the way down towards turn 1.
I think John Jones has been stated before, he's not one to let anybody pass easily, so he's going to put up a fight as best as he can, as Jay Warren does seem to manage to get past now. I think just peeking out every so often to be like, oh, I am here, just put that pressure on, fill their wing mirror with the front of his car. And yeah, he's through now, so let's see how quickly it takes for him to catch up to the back of Kenny Press and keep making his way up the field, because I'm sure he would have been frustrated with that earlier incident that dropped him back, especially when he had such great qualifying pace.
He did, and showing plenty of that pace as he comes back through the field. Back to our leading Audis, who are still behind Jamie Page to the tune of around about 4.5 seconds at this point. And they come up the hill, back to the Michael Schumacher S, and looks as though Buckner's got more of an advantage on Carroll at this point. He looks pretty comfortable in the pace he's setting right now, but Jamie Page pretty much unchallenged here at the moment at this point in time, and looking to be set for his second victory of the season and his second event in a row and his second race 1 win in succession as well. Just quickly flash through the camera there, you saw going past him, as running wide on the exit is Scott Bugner. Carroll using plenty of curb as well as they come down the hill and then back up it again. Potter's in the background in 4th place. It does appear as though, unless Jay Warren closes quite quickly on Kenny Press, with which the gap is about 2.2 seconds at the moment, it's just starting to get a little more calm and quiet here, Becky, in this race. Everyone's starting to settle down a bit more. The closest battle on track is the 2 car bug racing Audis here, battling over 2nd and 3rd place at this point. But the rest of the field is just simply just circulating and trying to catch the cars in front if they can. But the race, as it heads into its second half, is starting to find a little bit of a quiet period here as everyone starts to kind of settle in and push towards the end of the race.
Yeah, it seems fairly calm at the moment. Everybody's just kind of trundling along, as long as nobody has any major issues, any mistakes that's going to cost them too much, where the closing sort of cars behind can close up. So I'm sure it will be hopefully smooth sailing from here on. But like you say, we've got Scott and Andy fairly close to each other, and although they're teammates, they're racers too. So I'm sure they'll be getting, probably, if Andy can get a bit closer, I'm sure he will put the challenge on Scott as well. He won't let him get away with it that easy.
We're going to go on board with our race leader. He's just at the fastest sector 1, so we'll see what he can do here. This is the onboard view of the race leader. This is what you see pretty much when you're out in front, enjoying a pretty steady drive on the racetrack in the Eifel Mountains here. Down through the Dunlop curve he goes. You can see the camera moving around to see his driving view a little bit. And the good thing is you get the opportunity to see on this lap just how much the drivers use all of the curve where possible. This circuit, giving just a little touch of the curb on either side of the Michael Schumacher S and on corner exit just to round things off. Hits top gear, hits the brakes just as he gets underneath the sponsor gantry at the top above him. Again, just swinging from left to right, the car just gliding its way through. It really is one of those circuits where smoothness in particular, in any case in a race car, is absolutely important, particularly here on a circuit where the corners flow so nicely as you go from bend to bend. That's quite a crucial thing to do. Back towards the NGK chicane, the endurance style layout, if you like. Into the brakes, that faster left-right chicane. Slightly more old school version of that chicane, and then up towards Coca-Cola curve. Turns his way in through the right-hander, back on the power once again, lets it drift all the way out to the exit, and back onto the start-finish line to complete another lap. 5 3/4 minutes left to go in this race. So this moment in time, with a 5.5 second lead, Becky, Jamie Page, touch wood, I'm not trying to put a commentator's curse on at all, but 5.5 seconds looks pretty much like he's spread eagling the field here and in blissful ignorance of what's going on behind him, and looking as though he's running his own race here and possibly even thinking to himself in a small way, you have some company because I'm all on my own up here at the front.
Yeah, it's always great when you have a bit of a battle going on, but I'm sure he's probably enjoying just sitting back and having a nice drive. It's really calm on board, but that was actually fastest lap of the race so far, so he's still pushing, he's still giving it his all, although he's not got the kind of other cars around him giving him that pressure. He's not letting off. He knows that, again, all it takes is that slip and that that lack of concentration and not pushing to your full potential, and the grid behind you will all of a sudden close in, and you don't necessarily want that pressure. Like I say, keep your wing rear view mirror completely clear, and just keep cracking on with the fastest laps.
There is a saying in terms when it comes to race car driving, if it looks slow, it's typically pretty fast. What I mean by that is that, yes, a car that's sidling around looking flamboyant might look fast, but in actual fact on the lap times, he's lost about a second or two from throwing the car around, whereas you can be nice and smooth, precise, you can be fluid with the emotions, and just let the car drive the car fast, but also keep it predictable at the same time, so you can actually maneuver it exactly where you want to put it on the circuit. Usually, those are the fastest drivers, and everything in my view when it comes to race car driving all stems from smoothness. If you can't find smoothness, you can't get a rhythm. Without rhythm, you can't find consistency. If you can't find consistency, you can't find speed. If you can't find speed, you can't find pace. It all comes from being smooth and being predictable with the car, so the car knows what to expect when you're putting your inputs in all the way through, with it steering, accelerating, braking, changing gear. All of it's important to really put in some solid lap times and get quicker. Up towards the end of another lap we come, and Jay Warren is still chasing Kenny Press, but Kenny Press has something else to deal with here, and that's the back end of Rich Hayden's BMW for 5th position. Make the way back towards the chicane. Touch down a couple of gears and swing left and then right. 4th gear on the exit. He'll touch a 5th and then back down to 3rd as Hayden turns his way through Coca-Cola curve. We've got the onboard rear-facing view of Kenny Press's black and yellow Audi looming behind him. Press is just getting slightly closer and closer. It might be thinking about an attack. He darts out, puts himself to Rich's mirrors. As he dare go late on the brakes, he was thinking about it. That might just be a slight distraction technique there, Becky. I've seen that before. He just darts out, puts himself into Rich's mirrors and makes him think he's going for an overtake. Sometimes I saw a reel before somewhere on social media that said that you can be a little bit weird behind the driver, where you can kind of, if someone goes to the fend, you go with them and then almost force them offline because you're doing something unpredictable. So I think Kenny was simply just trying to distract Rich as much as he could to try and find that place. I think he knows he's got more pace underneath him. He's going to try and keep on pushing him all the way until he finds that door just open up enough to make a move and take the place.
Yeah, you said with like your rhythm and flow, if you can do anything behind a driver to put them off that focus and manage to make them have a little slip up, that's what you're going to do. You're going to give yourself that opportunity then to get past. So I wonder if in the last couple of laps that we've probably got left, Kenny will make a move and keep trying to be as distracted as possible, and again just making Rich aware. I'm surprised I haven't seen any headlights flashing in typical touring car fashion, because you never think that seems to do a lot, but you never know. It could always just that lack of concentration for a second is all you need as the following driver to pounce.
So watching these three cars come together, and Press has now got a real chance to put Hayden under some real pressure. You can see he was moving around a bit more. There's a sense that Rich is not quite comfortable staying where he is, and typically when you know you have to go and defend, you go straight off the racing line. If you can stay on the racing line, you're comfortable that you're not going to be under attack, but a certain Rich is not going to do that, and indeed look, he's doing the inside line because he knows that Kenny's going to come for it. Initially he's had to go to the inside, but he managed to ward off Kenny enough in a straight line to not give him that much of an issue. There's only 90 seconds left to go in this race, so I think we're going to get lead, I think, has started the last lap of the race, I want to say. So there's only one more chance to do this. And in fact, Kenny Press's run through the Coca-Cola curve was not good enough to keep with Rich Hayden. Now he's staring behind him at Jay Warren's blue and white BMW, who's looming right behind him, looking for the opportunity. This is the on board from Jay Warren. Will he go to the inside line to make the dive? Thinks about it. He's going for it. You have to commit to it at the corner exit. In actual fact, Kenny Press has no choice. He has to capitulate, give him the place. Through he goes into what is now 6th position. Now, whether or not Kenny in this presume it's the last lap of the race, not the second to last lap of the race, has got any enough pace here to try and close in on Rich and steal a top 5 to have a bit of damage limitation for his dramas earlier on. Remains to be seen, but that was Jay simply taking full advantage, Becky, of Kenny not getting the smoothest of exits, taking full advantage to get up the inside line. And it almost seems so that Kenny saw the inevitable coming. He saw that Jay was going to have the inside line. As he turned him towards the corner, he gave him so much space, he almost thought, well, there's no point in fighting it. You go through, and I'll have to accept 6th position.
Yeah, but a somewhat sensible decision. Again, you don't want to battle too much where you're then going to cause damage to your car and take yourself completely out the race or drop all the way down the pack. So if you know that move's coming and he's quicker than you, it's as much as it goes against that driver's instinct to be like, oh yeah, go through. At the same time, it's like, well, is this my battle? Can I just actually? And again, it might be a case of, we'll let Jay go through. He can put some pressure on Rich, and then maybe again he can pick up pieces. I'm sure something similar like that happened last week, Kenny managed to benefit off others' mistakes as we're just coming out of the last corner with Jamie Page to take the win.
Pretty much unchallenged from pole position, and one of probably his easiest win he's taken today. Up to the checkered flag comes Jamie Page, and for the second event in succession, he will take the honours in race 1 in VRRC World Touring Cars. It is victory for Page in race 1 at the Nurburgring, and not bad for the Audis. A car bug racing 2-3 as Scott Woodwiss leads Andy Carroll across the line. Now for the scrap for 5th, this is now Rich Hayden still defending, and Kenny Press has got the inside line to try and retake 6th from Jay Warren, who was a bit wayward over the curves. This could be a sprint to a line between BMW and Audi. It's going to be 4th place for Thomas Potter, 5th for Rich Hayden. Who's going to win the drag race towards the line? It's going to be Warren or Press to the flag, and it's going to be Jay Warren only just, and he got there by 0.03 of a second in the end. Jay Warren taking 6th from the Audi and holding on, but only by a fraction at the flag, which is pretty close. Now all was probably stemming from Warren not getting the run he would have wanted to attack Rich. That little slide was all that Rich needed to hold on to P5, which is pretty crucial. So last few cars are going to come across the line and complete the top 10, and as that was quite an interesting race all round, Jamie Page brings his way through the cool-down lap. It's an impressive performance to take his second win in as many events in race number 1 of the weekend here at the Nurburgring. So Page the winner, Bug in second place, Carroll in third, Thomas Potter 4th, and Rich Hayden, Jay Warren, Kenny Press, John Jones gets an 8th, Catherine Potter in the top 10 with 9th. Also, we had some issues and pitting for Jack Dickerson, Paul Laramie, and Connor Potter, Alex Walker, and Chris Blakey after he spun out earlier on as well. We'll have interviews with our top, well, 2 of the top 3. As we said, Jamie still doesn't have a microphone, but we'll have a chat to our 2 second and third place Audi drivers. That'll be coming up very shortly on the other side of this ad break, so stay tuned. Interviews and race 2 action coming up in a couple of moments. So, interviews after race number 1 of the event here at Nurburgring, round 7 of VRRC World Touring Cars, and we'll go in reverse order. Of course, we won't have Jamie Page, but we'll acknowledge him anyway when we get to that point. But first of all, we'll have a chat to the first of our 2 Audi drivers on the podium, and that is Andy Carroll. Andy, excellent work for you to get yourself third on the podium as well. Helped a little bit, I'm sure, by some of the shenanigans, shall we say, that happened mid-race in the early stage of the race that broke the pack up a little bit. But a third place is still a third place, and it gets you back in the top 3.
Yeah, helped quite a lot by people just kind of moving out my way, which was nice. So yeah, I literally turned up tonight having done no practice. I think missed the first few minutes of qualifying, so just sort of yeah, went out, did some laps, realized my setup was not quite correct. So between the quali and the race, made some changes, and yeah, I think my pace improved quite a bit. Was able to sort of keep up with Scott and those around him. So yeah, that obviously meant I was in a good position. Put some pressure, I think, on Chris. I guess he got on an exit curb and lost the rear. And then yeah, there was I guess a bit of door banging going on, and I think I spotted a bit of lag contact at some point up front, and all of a sudden I was in third. So yeah, very chuffed.
So you should be, and of course towards the second half of the race you're running in tandem with teammate, of course, Scott as well towards the front. So that was quite interesting in that dynamic. Was it simply a case that Scott had a bit more pace? Were you just hanging back and just trying to make sure both Audis got to the end unscathed?
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't trying to overtake Scott. He's in the championship hunt, so yeah, really just sort of sat behind him for a bit. thought I should probably drop back a little bit because a couple of times I was like, if I slightly missed my braking point now, I might have hit him. So yeah, just kind of dropped back a sort of just under a second just to make sure I didn't do anything silly and cost him his position. And then yeah, I say no real intention of trying to get past him, although I don't think I had the pace to anyway.
Stuff. So now, of course, we've got a slightly jumbled up grid for race 2. We've done 3 races. Race 2 coming up in a few minutes' time. In terms of this, usually tends to kind of throw up some slightly more action-packed races, given there are some of the faster cars coming through from deep in the pack as well. So we don't quite know exactly where you're going to be for race 2. But are you anticipating that, considering that we did actually get everyone through the first corner cleanly in the first lap or so, that this is going to be slightly more frantic for positions, knowing that there are some drivers who are faster, further back in the field than they feel they should be?
Yeah, I think obviously, that infield section, the first part of the lap, some pretty slow corners. So I would expect, I would be surprised if there wasn't some bumping going on, just as people sort of naturally try and make their way through. But yeah, so we'll just take it as it comes and hopefully try and make it past a few cars at the start and see if we can get close to the race 1 result.
Oh, fingers crossed that you can make it there. We'll find out where you are on the grid very shortly, I'm certain, when you go to line up for race 2. So fingers crossed it's a decent position. And if you can make it back to the podium, fingers crossed we'll be speaking to you again in roughly about 25 minutes' time or so.
Cheers.
All right, great stuff. And then we'll have a chat to another of the Audis on the podium, of course, second place man, that is Scott Woodwiss as well. Well, Scott, we said about a front row start, and you managed to convert it into second place. Ultimately, in that race, it was more a case of just trying to keep Jamie in sight as much as possible, and he did disappear up the road in the end. But still, a solid second place. You had your teammate in tandem for the second half of the race behind you. That seemed like it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, it was straightforward until I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was a glitch somewhere or whatever. But 1 minute I was just behind Thomas Potter, and the next minute he was basically in my front bumper. So he ended up getting spun round, which I feel really bad about. And then I think I saw Rich lag into Jay as well. So yeah, I don't know quite what happened, but yeah, it caused a bit of chaos. But the car felt good, tyres felt good. Yeah, I'm happy with a second, I suppose, and it's good for the team championships as well.
Yeah, it's another strong one, of course, picked up for the teams, but also, of course, the fact that we've got 2 key contenders who are not here tonight in Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson. So, yes, drop scores come into play on top of that when we get to Suzuka in terms of that, and that will certainly mean that they do get to use one of these rounds as a drop score, at least anyway. So, their absence is going to mean that they're using one of them. But obviously, this is going to be one of those days when, as I said a few times, if you're still in contention for the championship, it's the days when you don't win the races and can capitalise on those that don't get the results they need that can help you be in the best possible position. So tonight really for you is all about scoring as many points as you can in order to keep yourself in that best possible position by the time we get to Suzuka next week, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, yeah. To me, if I get a 5th and I get a 6th, that's okay. It's better than being 10th and 11th. So yeah, get some good scores on the cards tonight, and hopefully we can get a good, decent top 4, top 5 in this one, which I think will be quite tough, but be nice to get in the top 5, and then hopefully we can put on a big finale at Suzuka next week.
Well, let's see if we can do it again for race 2. We've got a tiny bit of time, so we'll quickly go into it. So just with the slightly reversed grid, of course, you're going to be in the pack a little bit. So you hoping that you can just, again, like with race 1, hope it's a clean first few corners, get through that, survive it, and then just settle down to the first couple of laps and keep your nose out of trouble and, again, get as many points as you can.
I think so, yeah. I was really expecting, I think Jamie had really good pace, so I knew I wouldn't be anywhere near him, but I think that the tyres held on for a lot longer and a lot better than what I thought. So I don't think there's that much of a disparity there this time. So hopefully we can get through and tag along with the guys and just see if we can push our way from the rear and get to the front again.
Well, fingers crossed you can get another good result. And again, rack those championship points up ahead of Suzuka next weekend. So go get yourself lined up on the grid and we will see how you get on in race 2.
Thank you very much.
There you go, Scott Bugner. And of course, reference Jamie Page. Congratulations. Clap, clap, clap. No microphone for him, but we give him his appreciation because he won by 4.5 seconds, as he should have done. We can, however, talk to someone else who got himself a top 5 in that one and talk about other things on top of that too, which is Rich Hayden. So he can take a small, take his place in the mix as well. Rich, very quickly, first of all, top 5, you're in the mix there, and you just about got lucky with Kenny getting a bit wide in the end there, but as well. But a top 5 to the top 5 and a solid result for you.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I had some contact in the middle of the race. No idea what happened. I think Scott just mentioned he thought I lagged into Jay, so I'll watch it back. And if it was unfortunate that I did, then it's one of those things. But yeah, unfortunately, had some contact, and I had no front and no rear downforce afterwards. I did both the front and the rear, so at least the car was balanced with no downforce. So it's pretty tricky for the rest of the race. But yeah, we'll see how we get on with this next one. But yes, looking forward to our next championship, which starts on Tuesday, 16th of September, the M4 GT4 Cup. Got a really good showing so far, got 20 entries so far, so there's still a few places left on the grid if anybody's interested, but same tracks as we were going to use before for the GT3, so a mix of World Endurance and IMSA as well, so going backwards and forwards between kind of Europe and America, so really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it looks pretty exciting, of course, with the BMWs. And, of course, given that car choice, I think it's going to be, again, one of those series where it is like the Minis in some cases, a case of it's not necessarily the car underneath it because everyone's got the same equipment and the same car underneath them. It's the driver skill that's going to be able to come out on top of that and who can make the most of what they've got.
Yes, and we've fixed a lot of the setup as well on the BM. So we've taken away, we've created a quite a good setup. Jack Smith did that for us, so thank you, Jack. And we've locked out all the suspension settings, toe, camber, and all the suspension settings. So you've got limited things you can change. You can change the ride height, fuel, brake bias, traction control, ABS, but nothing that's effectively going to change the physics of the car, so to speak, in a dramatic way. So it's definitely going to be down to the drivers.
Certainly will, and of course it's down to the drivers here for race 2 coming up. Before we quickly let you go,
Thank you.
Based in terms of where you're going to be, expectations for race 2, just again like the others, try and survive turn 1, hope it's clean, and then go from there.
I'll let you know on the other side.
Fair play. We'll let you go then. Good stuff.
All
Thank
right,
you,
mate.
Rich.
Cheers.
Once again, thank you very much. Right then, I think we're going to go straight into race 2 because we're getting close to the race start as well, which is usually a bit of a jumbled up grid. So we'll find out exactly who is on pole position and who's going to be where as we get underway in a moment's time. Good time, about 20 seconds or so. We're going to see it's Connor Potter on pole position with Catherine Potter alongside him. So slightly mostly reverse grid. In fact, yeah, it's practically is a reverse grid in that sense. Jamie Page started back in 13th. So it's Potter's on the front row of the grid, but it's Connor and Catherine to try and get themselves down towards turn 1 as quick as possible. You've also got John Jones, Alex Walker, and Andy Carroll in the top 5. Red lights at the top of the screen, and race 2 for round 7. The VRRC World Touring Cars here at the Nurburgring is underway. It's a clean start from the two Potters. Better launch from pole from Connor. Catherine's held her own in 2nd place. John Jones is going to try and come up alongside her to try and battle her. Well, it's Walker and Laramie for 4th position, down towards the first corner. Hold your breath, cross your fingers, everybody. Can we get through turn 1 cleanly without any issues? So far, so good. There's a bit of bumping and boring. No, I spoke too soon. Eddie Press has gone around and been tagged by several cars, and he's now facing the wrong way on the inside of the first corner. So the answer to that is no, we can't get through turn 1 without an issue. But nonetheless, everyone carries on. Thomas Potter's already up to 4th position. That's a cracking start for him. Thomas making it now all three Potters in the top 5, incredibly. If he can get past John Jones, it will be, I think, for the first time ever, Becky, a Potter 1, 2, 3. And Thomas might be about to make that happen.
Yeah, it would be great if it just ended like that. The 3 Potters on top, which not unfortunately. Luckily, we've still got 19 minutes to go of some solid racing to come across. But like I mentioned in the last race, John Jones isn't one to just roll over and let people pass. So he will battle this as much as he can. And I know Thomas will give it his all trying to get past him as well.
Point there, John Jones actually completely outbrakes himself. I think he was going for the move on Potter. Catherine Potter got sideways. I have to remember first names because there are 3 of them now at the front. It's now Connor Potter from Thomas Potter, and it was almost a Potter 1, 2, 3 until Jay Warren spoiled it round the outside of the Michael Schumacher S and just about gets in front for 3rd place. And that's a key start for Jay, of course. He's now ahead of a couple of other quick drivers. So Jamie Page is up to 7th already. Bugner's 8th. Rich Hayden's down to 12th. So he's had some issues in the first corner. He might be one of the cars that got tangled up with Kenny Press. Come out through the beginning of the 3rd sector. Page holding on to 7th place now on the back of Alex Walker, who runs wide. I'm sure Page will take full advantage of that. Bouncing on the grass, and as Walker comes across, he goes into the side almost of Scott Bugner, who goes bouncing on the grass on the inside line. He comes back onto the road, lets John Jones through, and with momentum, so does Paul Laramie, and also possibly his teammate Jack Dickerson. It was quite a wild ride, but that all started, Becky, with Alex Walker running wide on the exit of the corner. He just kept his foot in, lost the back end, as there we can see. Oh, that's more contact going forwards. Come back to that in a second as Catherine Potter goes around. That was side by side, I think, with, I'd say Chris Blakey, but he's back in 12th. No, it's Thomas Potter and Connor Potter. So there's all sorts going on here. Jay Warren has hit the front down towards turn 1. So we barely finished that one, Becky, and it's all kicked off.
Yeah, it always seems to happen with reverse grids, doesn't it? It's trying to get past a little bit of a barge going on there between Warren and I think that was Thomas Potter as well. So yeah, it's all very close, all very tick the racing, and yeah, everybody's desperate to get those positions. So yeah, it's getting a little bit feisty. So I'm sure once a few more moves have been made or a few more sort of nudges here and there, we'll settle back down into a rhythm and we'll can at least catch our breath again and try to make sense of everything that's happening as Thomas and Warren are literally going door to door. Bring in Andy into it as well. So yeah, it could be all kicking off in the next few corners again.
Looks like it, side by side between Warren and Potter, going for position for 3rd then, and Carroll scores up to 2nd as a result of that. Connor Potter's holding his own though in the lead as Thomas Potter gives Warren a shove out of the corner. Come on, get on with it. And Jamie Page has now gone to 5th position. He's not hanging around. In a lap and a half, he's gone from practically the back of the grid to 5th. Taking so many positions, aided by a couple of the cars having their own issues. Potter then on the tail of Warren to come back towards the beginning of the 3rd sector. You see there's a late dive going on for Andy Carroll, going straight to the inside line, but he just about gets it anchored up. It's a little bit wide as he turns in towards 3 and 4. They make the way out through the intercept 3, I should mention. Oh, my words getting tongue-tied. So now Potter versus Warren now side by side for 3rd. Now Potter has track position, which will be the inside line for the next corner, which is a left-hander. Warren knows he might have to give him the place here as he goes diving up down the outside into that chicane. But it's a single track run through there, and you have to sit back. Warren does so. And then Potter goes off the grass for a moment. Not quite sure where he's going. He's off to the Nordschleife, which is not quite the right circuit. Now it's side by side between Bugner and Laramie on the exit, the final turn. Bugner's got the place. Excellent 5th position as Andy Carroll sets the fastest lap of the race. That's now taken by Bugner. So the Audis are on the move. Here comes Carroll then. This is to the inside for the lead, down towards the first corner into the Mercedes arena. Potter tries to stand his ground. He'll look for the up and under here, but the Audi appears to have the traction and the grip it needs. The position is his. Andy Carroll then in the Audi RS3 LMS TCR hits the front here at the Nurburgring. That was a pretty textbook pass up the inside, and again, like we saw towards the end of race 1 with Kenny Press, didn't really get any resistance from Connie. He kind of almost thought the game was up by the time he turned into the corner.
Yeah, it was coming at him at a pace, so yeah, probably thought, yeah, you know what, you can have this position. Again, I'm sure he'll try to keep on the back end, but he has dropped about a second or so behind him now, so he'll just be trying to hold on to 2nd position. But it's getting used to, again, battling some of the cars that you might not always be side to side with, so learning kind of how they would take corners, how they're going to attack you. So it's all a bit of a learning curve at the moment, as Warren looked like he was just having a little peek then to make a dive. Connor Potter there and looks like he might just potted a little bit squirrely coming out of that corner, so a little bit of a tap. So Warren will line up the move in the next few corners and try to get to a point where there's enough space to get round him without the worry of maybe another sort of little twitch here that could take him out the race.
Like you say, he's going to set him up the next few corners. He was ready to do it there, right? But next turn immediately to try and get past. But Potter did stand his ground, and Jamie Page is right on his toes here, using the curb on the exit. Now they come onto the 3rd sector, and this could be an opportunity for Page to line up a pass here if Potter can't move out of the way. He won't move out of the way, of course. The position, Page, you can see, is posturing around the rear end of Warren's car. He wants that position. He's looking this way and that, but nothing against Potter's pace at all, Connor Potter's pace, but he is the bottleneck at the moment. Everyone's stacking up behind him, and that's Page under attack from Scott Bugner. This is crucial for points. These two finish 1st and 2nd, with Page some 5 seconds up the road. Now Bugner's got the track position he needs on the exit, the final corner of Coca-Cola curve. He now has the inside line, and as Andy Carroll did to Connor Potter before, it's now a repeat for the Audi on the BMW. Down towards the first hairpin, they go into the Mercedes arena. Warren goes to the inside to make the pass on Connor Potter, so they're all overtaking each other into turn 1. And as Jay Warren runs out wide but has the inside for turn 2, Buckner turns across and he too holds the place and pushes the race 1 winner Becky down to 5th position.
Yeah, some clean moves there, so that's always good to see. Again, Andy will be hoping they get a little bit tighter to cause a little bit of a delay in this pack, so he can keep heading on up the road as you just saw coming out of shock there. But Jay seems to be pulling away from this group as well as the other lot seem to be battling still for those positions. But probably be a few more, plenty more moves, I reckon, with how close this bunch is. A lot of back and forth, and yeah, Potter's still trying to stand his ground amongst sort of the other beamers around him, not give too much away. But Paige has just come up the inside, and it looks like Laramie's lurking in the background as well, with Rich Hayden not far at all either. So yeah, it looks like Potter's got a lot to deal with coming up in these next few turns.
Yeah, busy in 5th position with plenty of fast guys around him. That's certainly going to be a dilemma for him to try and hold on to. But he's holding his own at the front as much as he can, because he has got, as you said, Paul Laramie and Rich Hayden, which I think was quite far back at one point, but is now sailed back up to 7th at this point. He's looking to try and pick up a couple more places. I think Rich Hayden's immediate concern is to try and get past Paul Laramie here for 6th, but he might fancy the double pass so we can line them up. And Laramie seems to be the catch-22 here. Which way does he look? In front at Potter, behind at Hayden. They're both going to try and double team him down towards the chicane. Can't really go side by side to that chicane, and Laramie backed out just a little bit the final straight. That was a move that even had Jackie and my producer here saying crikey, so it was almost a move that couldn't quite work. And you see there Hayden, he was trying to get the undercut there, but it looks like Laramie hesitated on the apex of the corner as he tried to get the power down, couldn't quite get it on fast enough, and as Hayden looked for that up and under, the switch back to go inside exiting the fight onto the pit straight wasn't close enough to make it happen. This is Hayden's onboard view down towards turn 1. He fancies the outside line to the hairpin. You can make it stick if you're brave enough to go around the outside. He is trying, and it might just work actually. Into turn 2 he goes. Thoughts about it, tried to stick close to the inside line. Can he be there for turn 3? This might be set up beautifully for the next part of the Mercedes arena. And round I think it's gone Connor Potter. He's lost it, so round he goes. Hayden runs Laramie out wide, gives him the place, and just like that, Becky, 2 for the price of 1, 7th to 5th in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, lovely from Rich there. He couldn't have wanted it better than that, unfortunately, for Connor Potter. But yeah, it played into Rich's hands there. So he's quite a bit behind Jamie Page. It's about 4 seconds, but we'll see if he can close that gap up as well and chase the leading pack. But we've still got about just over 3.5 seconds between Andy Carroll and Jay Warren. So again, Andy's getting his head down. He's been setting some of the fastest laps in the previous laps, so he'll be happy with that. Chris Blakey seems to be working his way back the order after a bit of a rocky start again for him. So trying to limit the damages to this race session this evening. It didn't seem to quite play into Chris's hands, so yeah, just keep going, get some points, and then hopefully reset for next round.
Certainly try to and get as many as you can. As I mentioned, it's the races you don't win that try and get you good points in the championship to at least minimise the damage and invitation if you can. As Rich Hayden continues to push on to take 5th position, and this time now with no Connor Potter causing a further obstacle in terms of being slow in pace, just being around in the mix to an extra element in that fight. You see Hayden just trying to set him up for that move. He's trying to force Laramie offline. He was trying to take that extra run, the alternative line, to try and force Laramie to go defensive and not get the best run off the corner. You might get another chance here. And again, look, Laramie's going to the inside. He's not comfortable on the racing line because he knows Rich will go there. He went down the outside last time and did just about make it stick. Down towards the hairpin they go, and this time Rich Hayden sweeps across at the first corner. They just about give each other enough room into towards turn 2. Little love tap for good measure, and into P5 goes Rich Hayden again for the second time in as many laps. And that one, Becky, was another great move. Again, forced him to the outside line. He had much better grip. He managed to get in front, but just by the time he got to the braking zone, and was turning across almost fully in front by the time they hit the apex. That was pretty textbook stuff from Rich. Up into the 5th position. He has got 5.8 seconds to make up on 4th place Jamie Page, which he might not be able to do in the next 8 3/4 minutes. But still, a top 5 is a top 5, and he should be happy with that if he can make it stick.
Yeah, aggressive down the outside, managing to keep it on track as well. It's so easy to run wide afterwards. From pushing too much, not managing to stop the car just in time for that corner. But yeah, lovely move by Rich there. So he'll just be aiming to keep Paul behind him now, and hope he doesn't give up, start fighting too much towards the end of this race, so he can secure that 5th place. As we cut back, Chris Blakey, and I think Connor Potter had just gone a little bit wide then. Luckily, didn't tap anybody as he was coming back onto track, and they've got through nice and smoothly. Have Chris and John as they're battling for a position just up ahead of Connor Potter now.
Yeah, that was definitely a move for Connor Potter, who ran wide up at the Dunlop curve, and that's now given his easy passes to both John Jones and Chris Blakey. We're not quite done with this battle for this position, because Paul Lowry hasn't let Rich Hayden get away here. He's still got about a car length or so, but Rich might have the ultimate pace in the end, but Lowry's trying to stick as close to him as much as he can. It was a nice tidy run through the chicane up towards the final corner. If anything, it looks as though that Lowry's coming back at Hayden for 5th position. This is the fight going on here further back. This is John Jones attacking Chris Blakey for 7th place as they come out of the Coca-Cola curve. Just tuck into the slipstream, have an opportunity to try and make it through. And just closing in steadily and steadily. Kenny Press in the background, that's Jack Dickinson, excuse me, closing in on Connor Potter as well to try and take 9th place. Back to the hairpin. Oh, and John Jones from so far back into the hairpin. With all due respect, John, that was never going to work. He just completely outbraked himself. He went for one huge banzai move down the inside, Becky, and I'm not quite sure either he just mishit his brake pedal, or if he had a moment where you thought, right, it's a now or never move to go for it. He just tried to make a move and just couldn't make that stick on Blakey.
I suppose sometimes it's worth the shot, isn't it? As long as you know you're not going to cause too much damage and drop too far back if you've got a gap behind the cars behind you as well. It's kind of like, well, can we make it work? So he tried it, probably won't try that again. Maybe wait to be a little bit closer, but just want to actually cut back to Paul and say it's actually his first week racing in this championship with us. So a good showing considering he's jumped in the car this evening to join the championship in the last couple of rounds. So yeah, definitely would have been interesting to see him throughout the full series of racing to see how high up he could have come if he's performing this well early, battling against obviously drivers that have been with us at the beginning. So yeah, a great showing for Paul there.
Paul's quite experienced, of course. He's been in this for about 4 years or so plenty of experience behind the wheel in this championship, in this server, in fact, in this whole racing club in that sense. He knows what it takes to be pretty quick here, and battling away with Rich Hayden. I'm certain he's no stranger to doing that several times. So those two having a good back and forth. Speaking of back and forth, these two still haven't stopped battling. It's now quite close for 3rd position again, and Scott Bugner ahead of the race 1 winner Jamie Page, and this time Bugner looking to give himself a good podium finish. Andy Carroll, meanwhile, with about 6.5 minutes to go, he's in the lead here with both of the Audis. The Carberg Audis in the top of the field, up there in the podium places. Jay Warren is holding on in 2nd place. They're turning through the hairpin. Again, you can see that Jamie Page is closing in a little bit more as they're turning through the first part of the arena and the second part. Just gently putting the power back on up to 4th. Might just top out in 4th before you turn in. That tighter run that gets you the slightly better leverage to the final part of the Mercedes arena. Use the curb on the exit. He's certainly pushing. He wants to try and force Bugner into a mistake here, Becky, and I imagine given that he did manage to take the victory in race 1 by 4.5 seconds, we'll get a good chance here to see what Jamie Page's racecraft is like. If he can start to put him under pressure and force a mistake, that could be another key skill in his arsenal that he's been sharpening up over the last few races.
Well, you got an insight into his racecraft last week, of course, with him winning the first race and then coming back to just miss out on podiums in the second race. So I'm sure he's going to be trying to rectify that and at least get on the podium as well for the second race as well this week. But yeah, he's been really coming into his own towards the end of this series. Really getting the most out of his car, and seems to feel really comfortable in it again with the laps he was setting earlier in race 1 with no sort of distractions. He was blistering quick along in his laps, so I'm sure he's hoping to again rectify that and hopefully manage to get past Scott Bugner in the next few corners, as we've just under 4 minutes left to go. So he knows he's running out of time, so he'll be desperate to make that move sooner rather than later, and then hopefully create some distance between him and Scott to secure that 3rd position.
And he's going to have to try and get around the Audi pretty quickly. There's only 3.5 minutes left to go in this race, and Page is using every trick in the book that he can to get himself into position to make this move. He's right underneath the rear wing of the Audi. If he's going to make a move, I bet he's going to have to be here. And look, there's the telltale sign. Bugner straight to the inside. Doesn't want to go on the racing line to try and keep his ground. Now, we saw Rich Hayden do this. Can Jamie Page do the same? He pulls level in the braking zone in towards turn 1. Looks around the outside. Bugner shows him the edge of the road. When you get past me and beat me once again like he did in race 1, try it round the long way and the hard way, sunshine. Ain't going to happen that easy. Down towards the next part of the Mercedes arena. And you can see the tighter run taken. Come back through the left, then the right of the Mercedes arena, back out again. I have to say, Jay Warren's not that far ahead of the race, only 2.3 seconds. There he is. Of course, the harder these two battle each other, easier it is for him to make a break and for the rest of the cars to pull away with their issues. Through the left-hander, down through Valvey and Ford curve. This is pretty much the key battle. Andy Carroll's 2.5 seconds ahead of Warren, who's another almost 4 seconds ahead of Scott Woodwiss. So this is the key battle on track here, Becky, for third place, the final podium spot. Given that Jamie Page, unless something happens, is not going to get a victory here. At the very least, he wants another piece of silverware, which he wants to try and take virtually back home before the final round at Suzuka.
Yeah, he'll desperately be wanting to get past him and get another bunch of decent points, because it's been another great showing from Jamie this week, as he's trying to pull up alongside. Oh, and seems to just a little bit of a tap or a couple of taps there, but looks like he might have just managed. Oh no, as we're switching back round again. Yeah, Bugner's not letting him through. A little bit of a flash of headlights there as well from Jamie, being like, come on, I need to get past. Surely he must have thought he was in for that move then, basically pulling up alongside him, and all of a sudden, no, Scott's like closing the door, not a chance. So we keep going, only just over about a minute and a half, so we'll see if he can get it done in the last remaining time, or if Scott can keep defending how he has been, and keeping behind to secure that third position.
You're going to do it, you'll have to do it now, because this is the last lap of the race with that 1 minute and 20 seconds to go on the clock. Look at that, straight to the pit wall. But knows exactly what's about to happen here for third place, and down the outside again goes Jamie Page. They touch, there's contact. As he turned in, he gets him sideways and again punches the rear end of the Audi once more. I think smartly Jamie Page backed off on that and said, sorry, didn't mean that. Now it goes again through to the second part of the Mercedes arena, and that was him, I think, turning across and not realising the line that Bugner was going to take, and he gives another nudge up into the complex. Well, that was, you saw what happened. All I'm going to say is Jamie Page is down into third position, and that's all I'll say about that. But down the straight towards the final cover, headlights away for Scott Bugner. I don't think these two are finished until the checkered flag, Becky. Something tells me by the body language of these cars, this ain't going to settle down before the checkered flag. Yeah,
I get another drag race to the line like we did in the last race as well. So yeah, don't look away, don't blink, because this could be very close right at the end again. I'm sure Scott will try to make a move probably right at the last second, so there's no time for Jamie to respond. But it just depends if he manages to get close enough, as there seems to be a bit of a gap opening up. But again, we will have to see about those couple of bumps with stewards coming in to see if there's anything that needs sorting out post-race.
Well, we have with commentators, not stewards, Becky, because that might be quite an interesting conversation later on, but we'll leave them to deal with if there's anything to deal with. Meanwhile, up at the front, Andy Carroll, we've not really spoken about him much because he has pretty much run a race of his own without too many troubles. Jay Warren has got close to him. He's closing in on him with about 1.5 seconds gap, but he is going to make sure that it's going to be honours split between BMW and Audi tonight. It was Jamie Page for BMW in race 1. Now Andy Carroll, who has won before this season, will take another victory in VRRC World Touring Cars with a fine drive to the front, and he takes the win in race 2 of the evening here at the Nurburgring, round 7 of the championship. Second for Jay Warren. Now for third place behind, Jamie Page is ahead of Scott Bugner, he was, and Bugner has now gone across the line and taken third place. Tearing on me if my producer, just say again. I think we're going to hear potentially that Page let him have it in the end, so whether or not something happened further round, again, we'll let the stewards decide if there's anything to talk about on that, but still, the result is Bugner takes third, Page takes fourth. Now Rich Hayden takes another top 5, 5th position for the man behind VRRC. Good drive from him to get himself into 5th. Chris Blakey 6th, Paul Laramie 7th, John Jones 8th, Jack Dickerson 9th, and Catherine Potter rounding out the top 10. That's followed then by Alex Walker, Thomas Potter, who we saw quite fade further back a little bit, and didn't see much of him in the race after the opening stages, and a couple of the cars didn't make it. Kenny Press was one that we lost at the opening corner after he was tagged in mid-pack and spun round. So you can't say tonight was wasn't full of eventfulness. There were some eventful moments, particularly in both races. But we'll have a chat to our top three, in fact, because we have got all three drivers here, because they do all have working microphones, and we'll have a chat to them very shortly after this message from one of our sponsors. So stay tuned. Post-race interviews for race 2 here at Nurburgring for VRRC touring cars coming up in 2 moments after this message. So, plenty of talking points from race 2 of VRRC World Touring Cars at the Nurburgring, and we have 3 drivers to talk to this time rather than 2 because they all have working microphones. Apparently, we've been told Jamie Page is getting a new microphone, whether it's for next season or next race. I'm sure Rich will give him a kick in the background if we can get it done for next race. It is the Suzuka finale. That's another matter. We'll go to our top 3 anyway in reverse order, and we'll talk to the man who took 3rd place in what was an interesting last couple of laps, and we'll let Scott tell his story on that one. So, Scott, well done for 3rd place, but I guess to kind of gently address the elephant in the room, those last couple of laps with Jamie, they were quite interesting. Should we just go through them from your point of view?
I thought it was really good. Yeah, no, it was really good. I wasn't expecting him to let me back through. I was I'm in an hour, and I thought, did he just push me to pass me? He did, but it's touring car racing, isn't it? Really. Yeah, good door to door. You know, I was having to stop it on the apex. He was bumping me, trying to put me a bit wide and sideways, and yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. To be honest with you, I don't think it was. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm sure it put on a good show. But yeah, no, it was really good, and I really enjoyed it, and some good points there.
Yeah, just the body language of the cars told some kind of a story, I guess, that we're maybe thinking more about. But anyway, we'll gloss over that in that sense. It's a 3rd place. It's still good points for you as well, and of course takes you to Suzuka in a good, strong position. Of course, Jack and Oliver are going to be back, of course, I believe anyway. So it's going to be quite key to see how they get on with those points as well. But this has been a night again where pretty much as we said in the end of race 1, the races that you can't win are the ones that you win the championship with because you managed to score pretty big. You got yourself a 2nd place and you got yourself a 3rd. So that's 2 podiums. Really good points haul, and that should set you up nice to keep you in healthy contention going into the final race of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what the points are. I don't know what they are now after that round. But it's got to be close. It's got to be hopefully a handful of points going into Suzuka, and yeah, I haven't done that track in a long, long time. Probably on one of the old F1 games, so it'd be quite interesting because that first sector's not the most easiest of sectors.
Certainly so. And of course, looking forward to Suzuka, as you mentioned, of course, with those winding corners and how it's a fast circuit, but it's also quite narrow as well at some points too. Are you expecting the Audi to go well there and hopefully finish the season with a flourish?
I mean, I would hope the Audi goes well everywhere, but it's until I jump on it and sort of compare my lap times to sort of a top 6 or 7. I don't know. The change of direction for the Audi, I wouldn't say is great. So I think it will struggle in sector 1. But I think the long flowing corners in sector 2 and possibly sector 3 should be okay. So yeah, it'll be interesting, but I'm sure we'll put on a good show for the listeners and watchers, and may the best man win, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you'll be there and putting on the best performance possible, but still, you put in 2 great performances tonight, second and third place. So, great effort, good points, and fingers crossed it keeps you in a good position for the championship going for the last race. So, fingers crossed, and we'll see you next week when we round things off in Japan. Well done.
Thank you very much, and well done, Jay, and well done, Andy, on the podium and a win.
Great stuff. Right, so that's from one Audi to our top BMW in that race, which is Jay Warren. Jay, that's a slightly more better fortune than you had at race 1 at one point. Race 2 put you in the mix, and you got close towards Andy in the end, but once you settled down, it looked like it was a pretty straightforward run to second place in some points.
Yeah, I had a good start, had a good first lap, got up into the lead at one point, I think, and then just got a bit unlucky with a couple of battles towards the start of the race. Andy got away, but Andy did really well getting through the traffic. And then from there, I tried to catch him by the end, but in the end, he didn't make any mistakes and he deserved to win. He drove really well.
Obviously, top of BMW in that race, there was quite a lot of battles going on behind, particularly with Jamie scrapping away with Scott, which obviously helped your gap as you were trying to close in. Obviously, this is a polar opposite fortune to what you had in race 1. So, a bit of a mixed night for you tonight, because I'm sure race 1 didn't quite go the way you planned in some cases. But is this a nice a silver lining to what was a bit of a mixed event?
Yeah, obviously race 1 was a bit unlucky, but I'm pretty happy with race 2. So overall, I feel like I've done what I could do tonight, and yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Stuff. And of course, going forward to the last round, which of course is going to be Suzuka as well. Slightly different. It's a little bit technical and winding like this one, but of course, lots of fast sweeping corners, narrow parts in there too as well. How are you expecting your performance for the BMW to be next week if you're racing?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I've never really done Suzuka on this game. I've done it in the F1 game, but this is very different. So I have no idea what to expect, to be honest. So I guess we'll do some practice and see where we are.
Well, fingers crossed practice goes well, and by the time you get there, you'll be in good shape to make it happen. So fingers crossed it all works out, and congratulations on second place. And nice, as you say, silver lining for what happened in race 1. So congrats, and fingers crossed you do well again at the finale in 7 days' time.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
So from third to second, and now second to our race winner, and it is a win apiece for Audi and BMW, and of course it's going to be an Audi victory for Andy Carroll. Andy, congratulations! You managed to put yourself through what was a pretty hectic opening couple of laps at the front to get yourself to the lead, and then once you were there, it looked like it was a pretty standard drive out front. I don't want to say it was easy, because certainly it wasn't for the most part, but it looked like it was a pretty straightforward drive to get to the front, stay there, and come and take the win.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I thought off the line, obviously a couple of BMWs right behind me came past. And then I think, as things sorted themselves out, I saw that I think Tom and might have been Jay were kind of out at the front, near the front. And I thought, oh, okay, well, they were going to probably drive off with it. But yeah, they seemed to get held up in some battles trying to get to the lead, and that worked out in my favour. I managed to get past Connor, and then I think they managed, as a result of Connor, I think still battling them pretty hard. I managed to ended up with a nice gap, and thought, okay, well, I've probably got to put a few good laps in here just to try and get that, make sure that gap is as big as possible, because I knew at least one of them was going to probably start coming towards me. So yeah, put in a couple of quick laps, and then kind of the tyres started to overheat and complain a little bit. So it was a bit kind of pace limited at that point, and that's when kind of Jay started to gain on me a bit. But yeah, by then obviously I had enough time to make it to the finish, still with a reasonable lead.
So obviously going to the final round of the season now with Suzuka, obviously just trying to get as many points as you can and just finish as strong as possible. I was looking with the guys ahead of the championship battle. Obviously everyone wants to win a race, but I mean going to Suzuka, are you just hoping keep it clean, hope the car's in good car's got good pace around there, that you suit the track pretty well, and just get yourself as best results possible to finish the season with as many points as you can?
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty close. I think there's between myself and Jamie and Tom, and even Chris, I think. So, there's still a lot of positions to sort out. Yeah, just trying, as you say, stay out of trouble, get as many points as I can. If possible, kind of help out Scott. if I'm in a position to kind of hold up some of his direct rivals, maybe give them a bit more of a challenge than I might normally. And yes, see where it all shakes out. But it's yeah, as Scott was saying, it's difficult to know which cars can be stronger until you actually get out there and start setting laps. So yeah, I can't. My gut feel is Suzuka will favour the BMs a bit more, but who knows?
Well, we'll find out, of course, in 7 days' time when we head to Japan for the finale. It's not often; it's quite often we see Japan be a season finale, and Suzuka being that as well. But congratulations on the win! Excellent driving all night to get yourself a couple of good results, and hopefully it gives you good momentum to go into the last two races of the season. So congrats, and we'll see you in 7 days' time to do it all again one more time.
Will do. Thank you.
Sorry, Andy, just before you drive away, you also got driver of the round. If you didn't know, we've been chatting behind
fantastic.
the scenes, so congratulations.
Thank you.
There we go. Driver of the round as well, Andy Carroll, I think, with an excellent drive in race 2. So great stuff. Well done. So once again, that concludes another evening of racing on VRRC and the World Touring Car Championship. And congratulations to all of our winners. Of course, the driver of the weekend around for Andy Carroll. And of course, closing thoughts from the events as we now look forward to the last race of the season. We've had 7 meetings down now, 1 still to go. And it's now a typical circuit where many championship battles have been won and lost over the years, particularly in F1 and other places. It's Suzuka in Japan. It is fast, it is flowing, it is tight, but it is quite narrow as well on top of that, with some very fearsome and awesome corners to tackle. And touring car racing is never dull around here. Here you can see it in the background. Suzuka is going to be quite magical. Becky, this takes us now, of course, to the end of the season, because we've had 7 fantastic events. 1 more still to go now with Suzuka. Still a title to be decided. Almost certainly going to see Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson back amongst some other drivers who might be in there too to make it a little more difficult for them. This has the makings now, with drop scores also coming into play, to be a very exciting and tense final round of the season to finally crown the VRRC World Touring Car Championship champion. Who it's going to be is anyone's guess. We'll see the points when we come out of the event post-race. But on that note, essentially, this means we're going to get a typical Suzuka showdown. It's all on the line for the title, and it's all going to see who comes out on top of it and can possibly take the race win.
Yeah, cannot wait for next week. It's going to be a good one, like you say. Returning drivers coming back to make sure they battle for the championship overall win. So it's bound to be exciting, and yeah, probably again a little bit chaotic here and there, but that's what we love. So yeah, really looking forward to that. A little bit sad that it will be the last race, but I'm sure all our drivers will give it their absolute all and give us some major entertainment next Wednesday night.
We'll do it one more time next week, same time as it always has been. Once again, my thanks to Becky Aparicio for being excellent co-comms as always, to Jack Oliphant who took over on cameras, to Rich Hayden, to everyone at VRRC for making this championship as it is. As we say, we're on the road now to the season finale, on the road to Japan. 1 more round to go, 2 more races to decide who wins the VRRC World Touring Car Championship. So from all of us here at VRRC, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and follow us all on socials, and you can join us to see who becomes champion next week here in Suzuka in Japan. But until then, have a fantastic 7 days, and we'll see you for the finale. Bye for now.
The inside of Coates.
Parker gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Woo!